Head 02, Auditor General. Head 02, Auditor General is supplementation of $4,982,000. I will now invite the Minister of Finance to similarly make a brief opening statement for a maximum of 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. The Auditor General is the supreme audit institution responsible under the Constitution for annually auditing and reporting to Parliament on the accounts of Trinidad and Tobago and of all offices, courts, and authorities. The Auditor General is also required to audit the accounts of any statutory body, if so directed by Parliament, and is additionally empowered to carry out audits of the accounts, balance sheets, and other financial statements of all enterprises that are owned or controlled by or on behalf of the state. The Auditor General conducts comprehensive audits to assess the efficiency and effectiveness of public spending, ensuring that public resources are used responsibly and effectively. For the benefit of the listening audience, the portfolio of the Auditor General also includes the verification of computations of all pensions, gratuities, and other separation benefits paid by the state in accordance with the Pensions Act and other arrangements, and the grant of credit on the Exchequer account in accordance with the requirements of the Exchequer and Audit Act. In the conduct of the mid-year review exercise, it was determined that an overall sum of $4,982,000 was required to meet the unanticipated costs, being the payment of arrears of salary owed to holders of public offices arising out of the implementation of the 128th report of the Salaries Review Commission, as well as for expenses to be incurred under goods and services, such as an unprecedented multi-million-dollar legal bill due to the recklessness of the former Minister of Finance. Once again, the staff at the Office of the Auditor General and myself open the floor to receive any questions, Mr. Chair, that you may approve from members on the other side.
For the Spain North, St. Anne's East, West? No? Oh, sorry. Honourable members, the question is that the 2025 appropriation for Head 02 Auditor General be supplemented by the sum of $4,982,000. Can I invite questions for the Spain North member for the Spain North St. Anne's West?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, can I go to sub-item 23? Or are you at subhead 01001?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, to the Honourable Minister of Finance, I see here under fees an increase of $2 million. And I see in the notes that that is with respect to the Privy Council appeal of the Auditor General versus the Minister of Finance. Is it that, well, first of all, would you be able to provide us with particulars of how that $2 million is made up?
It is ironic, Mr. Chair, that question is coming from the member for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, especially considering that it is with specific regard to the legal matter as per the Privy Council appeal
I saw that.
number 0057 of 2024, Auditor General versus the then Minister of Finance.
Correct, which is what I just said, but I'm asking for particulars of the fees, because if it is that this is the payment of fees from that matter, should those fees not be paid from the Office of the Attorney General? How are those fees now being paid out of the Auditor General? That's the first question. And then secondly, I would like, please, if possible, a breakdown of the particulars to understand how it comes up to $2 million. Was that? It's not his fees, it's the Auditor General's fees.
At this point, I am advised that we don't have that breakdown available at this point.
So would you undertake to provide that, please?
We will consider providing such information. I am advised by the technical team that those questions may be directed to the Auditor General herself. Thank you.
No, but the Auditor, Mr. Chair, the Auditor General isn't here. This is the purpose of the exercise. It would be for the government to request it from the Auditor General, provide it to us in writing if it can't be provided now.
I have already indicated, sir, that we will consider it.
Thank you.
Member for Arima.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, as it relates to sub-item 16, contract of employment, can I request kindly for the number of persons, names, position, and salaries, please?
Mr. Chair, I think we are being disturbed on this side. Can you ask the member for Barrett to cool himself?
I'm not so sure I can ask him to cool himself, whatever that means. What I certainly can do, what I can do is ask him to exercise some restraint on the volume of his voice. But
Mr. Chair, because of the issues with water in this country, under the guise of the member for Urukalope, we have no water to cool ourselves in this country.
Can I remind everyone that there's a large contingent of school children looking on? Please, let us move on, shall we?
If I may.
Yeah, Minister?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the question from the member for Arima. Member, the following are the positions, the title of the contract positions that fall under the funding that has been requested. Senior Legal Officer, Information and Communications Technology, ICT Technical Officer, Public Audit Specialist, so there are 4 positions of Public Audit Specialists. There are 3 positions for Business Operations Assistant. There are 2 positions for Pension and Leave Checking Officer. There's 1 temporary position, very temporary, for 2 months for Office Support Assistants. There is 1 position for Check-in Officer, a position for Support Assistant, and 3 Clerical Assistants. If I may, these were persons who would have been employed from May to September 2025.
So those positions are already on the establishment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Diego Martin, member for Diego Martin Central.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to add to the opposition leader, and these positions already have people in post.
Correct. Apologies. There are 3 positions. There are 3 positions that are currently recruitment in process. That would have been the Pension and Leave Checking Officer. 2 positions there, 2 Pension and Leave Checking Officers, and 1 Office Support Assistants. Those 3 are recruitment in process. Thank you.
I think member from Diego Martin Central beat you to it.
Chairman, I will give way to thee.
Thank you. Member for Urukalope.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. To the Honourable Minister, just want to clarify on the same line item whether he expects those positions to be filled before the conclusion of this fiscal year.
Yes, sir. That is why provision is being made for them now.
Okay.
I'm somewhat disinclined to allow you, but I will go ahead because you ceded and gave way, but that's fine. Go ahead.
Well, Chairman,
Member for
the
Diego
question
Martin
wasn't
Central.
asked. Minister of Finance, can you give us details as to the process for recruitment that was followed?
Well, I am not entirely sure that that is a legitimate question, quite frankly, in this exercise. I suppose you can ask it in a different forum, but I'm not entirely sure that this is a permissible question for this exercise. Port of Spain, North, St. Anne's West.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, back at sub-item 23 under subhead 2, this is the fees. I didn't get an answer, so let me ask the question again. Is this the payment of fees or is it the payment of costs? Because, of course, as I said, the costs that would have been awarded for the action that you referred to should be paid by the Office of the Attorney General. I can't see how it would be that the Office of Auditor General would be paying the fees of the individual involved who was then in litigation with the then Minister of Finance. Can I get some clarity as to whether it is her fees being paid?
Minister?
I am looking, I don't know if we are looking at the same.
23, sub-item 23, fees, $2 million.
And you're asking if this is for payment for fees?
Fees, you see, is it the public service and the Office of the Auditor General cannot pay the fees for the individual, for the Auditor General. I understand if, as you said, it is as a result of being successful in litigation that the Privy Council costs have been awarded, and costs total $2 million, which is why I asked for a breakdown. Chairman would be well aware of the process. If it is in fact that costs were awarded, there would be a process for taxation, or maybe there's been an agreement as to the costs, but then it would be cost awarded, and that should be paid by the Office of the Attorney General. It is not usual, I'm not sure if it's proper, for the Auditor General, it was an individual in this case, for those fees to be paid, which is what it says here, by the state, as opposed to the process I've just outlined. So I'm seeking clarity.
Allow me, sir,
Please.
to direct you to the explanatory notes, which are very, 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 very pellucidly clear. 02001, and this is just for the record of the viewing public. These explanatory notes were circulated.
Correct.
Several
Those are the
days
notes
ago.
to which I refer.
Allow me, please. I allowed you to ask. Allow me to respond, please. So 02001-23, fees, $2 million, to meet the cost of reimbursement stemming from a judgment in favor of the Auditor General, as per the Privy Council Appeal number 0057 of 2024, Auditor General versus Minister of Finance. Sir, I think that is self-explanatory.
Thank you very much, my Honorable Minister of Finance, but you are perhaps not understanding the question I'm asking. It is not usual for the state to pay for reimbursement of fees in that manner. If fees are incurred, first of all, there should have been, and that is for the Auditor General to pay, there should have been an agreement by the Attorney General at the time. My recollection, and I think it's on record in public, is the Honorable Attorney General at the time had refused to pay the fees of the Auditor General. So therefore, it was incumbent on the individual to cover the fees. So is it now that the state is paying the fees of the individual? And that would be quite improper. So I'm asking, I asked before for breakdown of the particulars. I can understand if it's an award of costs as a result of being successful in litigation. That is something that is very separate to the payment by the state of an individual's fees, and you tell me you're reimbursing an individual's fees. That is quite improper. So I'm just seeking clarification.
Asked and answered.
Well, actually, it's not.
I think that in all fairness, as chairman of this committee, can I advise the member that there was some litigation recently that I know of, that a consent order was entered into.
In this matter?
I'm simply for the public record. I'm not entering the debate. I'm
You
merely...
can't, Chair, with great respect, Honorable Speaker, you are not supposed to intervene and clarify anything that the government needs to clarify.
Personal knowledge.
I don't entirely agree with you, member. Well, no, you see, because the proceedings, the accuracy of the public record and the contextual accuracy is extremely important. I'm just asking the member if he could perhaps have recourse to a recent consent order that was well publicized, and perhaps the member could come and ask it at a different time,
Mr. Speaker,
so that we simply just have the accuracy of the public record.
Mr. Speaker, with the greatest of respect, excuse me, honourable member, my colleague, with the greatest of respect, it is not in your place to make that kind of statement. You are here to chair the proceedings, not to offer advice or to clarify.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, having heard the previous utterances, without getting into the debate that was just taking place, if in fact there was a consent order, and I did refer to the possibility of a consent order, again, it does not negate the question I'm asking. A consent order, assuming it was agreed that there would be payment of the Auditor General's costs of $2 million, well, I am not aware because I wasn't involved, of $2 million, then those costs must be paid by the Attorney General's Department. Cannot be a consent order that the Office of the Auditor General would pay the individual's fees for reimbursement in this matter. And all I'm seeking is particulars. Perhaps those particulars can be provided if there is no immediate answer.
The honourable member is well aware of the options available to him through the Parliament via questions, etc., on the order paper, etc. He is very well aware of the process that he could follow to get further information, to get clarifications as he currently seeks. Those issues do not fall under the issues that we are raising here and dealing with today. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, with the greatest of respect, this is the period of time to ask it. We have come here today being asked as a representative of the people for Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West, being asked by the government to approve $2 million in fees. If I am not being permitted to ask the Minister of Finance for particulars, and I'm giving the option as is a reasonable one, you can provide those particulars before the mid-year review on Wednesday, provide it in writing. But the population needs to know $2 million in fees, what are the particulars of how those fees are equated, and then who are those fees being paid to? Because it's not the state to the state. It is not the Treasury paying fees to the Office of the Auditor General.
Sufficiently been made, and I think we've belabored this item long enough. So perhaps we could move on for the economy of time.
So there's a refusal to answer the question.
I'm not saying that. I think there was a sufficiently clear enough statement as to
by
when
reading,
it will be answered.
reading it.
All right. Can we move on? Are there any other questions concerning this item? Honourable members, the question is that the 2025 appropriation for Head 02 Auditor General be supplemented by the sum of $4,982,000. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Head 02 Auditor General has been supplemented by the sum of $4,982,000. Minister of Finance, can I thank you once again, and can I thank your officer from the Auditor General Department.